Be careful with your soulmate because she is. Don't scroll, stay right here, because this isn't a warning meant to scare you, it's an invitation to see clearly. It begins the same way most deep connections do, softly, beautifully, with a sense of recognition that feels older than memory. You didn't fall fast because you were careless. You leaned in because it felt safe, familiar, almost destined. And that's exactly why this message matters. Listen to this carefully, because when something feels like a soulmate connection, your guard lowers without you realizing it. You stop questioning. You stop checking in with yourself. You trust the feeling more than the facts. And that doesn't make you foolish, it makes you human. Stay right here, because the story didn't start with red flags. It started with warmth. With understanding. With conversations that felt effortless and deep at the same time. She listened in a way that made you feel seen. She mirrored your values, your dreams, your wounds. And that mirroring created a powerful bond. Don't skip this part, because mirroring can be connection, but it can also be camouflage. When someone reflects you perfectly, it's easy to believe they are the answer rather than a reflection. Listen closely, because over time, you may have noticed small things that didn't quite sit right. Not big enough to walk away from. Not loud enough to confront. Just subtle shifts. Moments when her words didn't match her actions. Moments when closeness felt conditional instead of constant. Stay right here, because intuition doesn't scream at first. It whispers. And you likely heard the whisper and chose love over doubt. That choice came from your heart, not a lack of wisdom. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now. You may have noticed how the dynamics slowly changed. How effort became uneven. How clarity turned into confusion. How you started doing more emotional work just to keep the connection steady. Listen to this carefully, because being careful doesn't mean assuming bad intent. It means recognizing patterns that affect your peace. There were times when vulnerability was met with distance. Times when you reached out and felt her pull back. Times when you felt close one moment and uncertain the next. That push and pull doesn't happen by accident. It creates attachment through instability. Stay right here, because inconsistency can feel like passion when you're emotionally invested. The highs feel higher because the lows exist. But real soul connections don't keep you guessing where you stand. Don't skip this part, because you may have started rationalizing the confusion. Telling yourself she's just guarded. She's been hurt before. She needs time. And compassion is beautiful, but it should never cost you clarity. Listen closely, because you may have noticed how your energy shifted. You became more careful with your words. More anxious about timing. More focused on maintaining harmony than expressing truth. That's not love expanding you, that's love shrinking you. Stay right here, because shrinking happens slowly. So slowly that you don't realize it until you feel tired all the time. Tired of wondering. Tired of waiting. Tired of trying to read between lines that should have been spoken clearly. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now. Being careful doesn't mean leaving immediately. It means stepping back emotionally enough to see what's really happening. Listen to this carefully, because she may care deeply and still not be able to love in a way that's healthy for you. Depth without consistency becomes chaos. Intensity without stability becomes exhaustion. Stay right here, because you may have felt responsible for the emotional climate of the relationship. Like if you just said the right thing, waited the right amount of time, showed enough understanding, things would settle. That's a heavy burden to carry. Don't skip this, because love should be shared, not managed. Listen closely, because you might have noticed how boundaries were tested. How your needs were acknowledged but not met. How promises were implied but rarely grounded in action. That's not alignment, that's avoidance wrapped in affection. Stay right here, because awareness is not betrayal. Seeing clearly doesn't mean you love less. It means you respect yourself more. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now. You are allowed to question a connection that brings confusion more often than peace. You are allowed to pause instead of pushing forward. Listen to this carefully, because soul connections are meant to feel expansive, not draining. They bring growth, yes, but not chronic uncertainty. They challenge you, but they don't destabilize you. Stay right here, because being careful means watching what happens when you stop overgiving. When you stop initiating. When you stop carrying the emotional weight alone. What remains tells you the truth. Don't skip this part, because consistency reveals intention better than words ever could. Listen closely, because if the connection only survives when you're trying harder, that's not balance. That's dependency forming where partnership should exist. Stay right here, because you may feel torn reading this. Torn between what you feel and what you see. That tension is important. It means you're waking up, not giving up. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now. You don't need to villainize her to choose yourself. You don't need to prove anything to step back and reassess. Listen to this carefully, because being careful means choosing clarity over chemistry when the two are in conflict. Stay right here, because clarity doesn't kill love. It protects it from becoming something that hurts you. Don't skip this, because you deserve a soulmate connection that communicates, that shows up, that doesn't make you feel anxious for asking for basic consistency. Listen closely, because real soulmates don't keep you in emotional suspense. They don't make you question your worth. They don't make you work for reassurance. Stay right here, because if this connection is truly aligned, clarity will strengthen it. And if it isn't, clarity will free you. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now. You're not being asked to walk away in fear. You're being asked to walk forward with awareness. Listen to this carefully, because awareness is the bridge between love and self-respect. Stay right here, because whatever you choose next should come from a grounded place, not from longing or fear of loss. Don't skip this final reflection. Be careful doesn't mean be closed. It means be conscious. It means love with eyes open and a heart that honors itself. And if this resonated with you, take a moment to like this, share it with someone who might need clarity, and subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. And stay till the end of this journey, because awareness, when honored, always leads you back to the love that doesn't cost you your peace. Don't scroll, stay right here, because once that awareness settles in, the connection doesn't look the same anymore, even if nothing on the surface has changed. This is the phase where you stop romanticizing what you feel and start observing what actually happens. And observation, when done honestly, tells a much clearer story than emotion ever could. Listen to this carefully, because after that first realization, you begin to notice how often you're the one adjusting. Adjusting your expectations. Adjusting your timing. Adjusting your tone. You start to see how much emotional labor you've been doing just to keep things smooth, just to avoid tension, just to preserve the idea of harmony. Don't skip this part, because love that requires constant adjustment from one side slowly turns into imbalance. It doesn't announce itself as unhealthy. It shows up as fatigue. As overthinking. As that quiet feeling of walking on emotional eggshells. Stay right here, because you may start noticing how your body reacts before your mind catches up. A tight chest when you're waiting for a response. A knot in your stomach when plans feel uncertain. A sense of relief when she's warm again, followed by anxiety when she pulls back. That emotional whiplash is not passion. It's instability. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now. You might tell yourself this is just how deep connections are. That intensity comes with fluctuation. But real depth doesn't keep you unsettled for long periods of time. Real depth brings reassurance, not constant doubt. Listen closely, because this is where patterns become impossible to ignore. The closeness followed by distance. The affection followed by silence. The promises of future clarity followed by present confusion. Once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it. Stay right here, because this isn't about catching her doing something wrong. It's about noticing what the connection requires from you. If it requires you to suppress your needs, ignore your intuition, or earn consistency, that's information. Don't skip this, because information doesn't demand immediate action. It demands honesty. Honesty about how this dynamic makes you feel over time, not just in the good moments. Listen to this carefully, because you may realize you've been holding on to potential more than reality. The idea of who she could be if things aligned. The version of the connection that exists when everything feels perfect. Potential can be intoxicating, but it's not something you can build a stable bond on. Stay right here, because reality is what shows up consistently, not occasionally. And consistency reveals capacity. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now. You might notice how conversations about your needs get redirected. How concerns are acknowledged but not addressed. How accountability turns into explanation instead of change. That's not misunderstanding. That's avoidance. Listen closely, because avoidance doesn't always look cold. Sometimes it looks caring, gentle, even loving, but non-committal. It gives just enough to keep you engaged, but not enough to ground you. Stay right here, because this is where being careful matters most. Not careful with her emotions, but careful with your own heart. Careful not to keep investing in a dynamic that asks you to wait indefinitely for clarity. Don't skip this part, because waiting becomes a habit when hope is fed just enough to survive. And habits shape outcomes more than intentions do. Listen to this carefully, because you might start noticing how your world has quietly shrunk. How your focus has narrowed around this connection. How your mood is influenced by her availability. That's not love enhancing your life. That's attachment slowly taking over. Stay right here, because healthy love expands your world. It doesn't consume it. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now. You may also notice that when you pull back slightly to protect your energy, something shifts. Either she steps forward with consistency, or the distance grows. Both outcomes are revealing. Listen closely, because how someone responds when you stop overgiving tells you more than how they respond when you're trying your hardest. Stay right here, because this is where fear might creep in. Fear of losing the connection. Fear of being misunderstood. Fear that you're asking for too much. But needing clarity, consistency, and emotional safety is not asking for too much. It's asking for the basics. Don't skip this, because fear often disguises itself as patience. But patience that costs your peace is not patience. It's self-betrayal. Listen to this carefully, because being careful doesn't mean cutting her off. It means slowing down emotionally. It means matching effort instead of exceeding it. It means letting her show you who she is without you filling in the gaps. Stay right here, because gaps are where imagination takes over. And imagination, when fueled by attachment, can be more powerful than truth. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now. You deserve to be with someone who doesn't require you to decode their behavior. Someone whose actions don't leave you guessing. Someone who communicates instead of oscillating. Listen closely, because you may realize you've been excusing things you wouldn't accept in any other relationship. You call it special because it feels intense. But intensity without stability is not sustainable. Stay right here, because sustainable love feels calm more often than it feels chaotic. Don't skip this part, because calm doesn't mean boring. It means secure. It means you're not constantly bracing for the next emotional shift. Listen to this carefully, because you might notice guilt when you think about stepping back. Guilt for not being more understanding. Guilt for protecting yourself. But guilt is often the price of growth when you've been prioritizing others over yourself. Stay right here, because choosing yourself doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop disappearing. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now. You can care deeply and still decide that a dynamic is not healthy for you. Listen closely, because you're not responsible for fixing someone else's emotional patterns. You're responsible for honoring your own boundaries. Stay right here, because boundaries don't end real connections. They clarify them. Don't skip this part, because if the connection can't survive honesty and consistency, it wasn't aligned to begin with. Listen to this carefully, because alignment feels mutual. It doesn't feel like one person holding the emotional structure together. Stay right here, because you might start feeling stronger as you reclaim your energy. Less anxious. Less preoccupied. More present in your own life. That's not you detaching. That's you returning to yourself. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now. Returning to yourself is always the right move, no matter what happens next. Listen closely, because if she truly is aligned with you, your shift will invite clarity, not distance. And if distance grows, that's clarity too. Stay right here, because clarity doesn't always come in the form you hope for, but it always serves you. Don't skip this part, because this stage is not about endings. It's about truth. About seeing the connection as it is, not as it could be. Listen to this carefully, because being careful means choosing self-respect over fantasy, awareness over attachment, and peace over prolonged confusion. Stay right here, because you're not losing anything by seeing clearly. You're gaining yourself. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now. Whatever this connection becomes, it should meet you in honesty, consistency, and emotional safety. Listen closely, because anything less is not a soulmate bond, no matter how intense it feels. Stay right here, because the more you honor yourself now, the clearer the path forward becomes. And that clarity will either strengthen this connection in a real way or release you from one that was costing you more than it was giving. Either way, you win by choosing awareness. Don't scroll, stay right here, because this is the point where the shift inside you becomes undeniable. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just firm. This is where you stop trying to understand her behavior and start understanding your own response to it. And that changes everything. Listen to this carefully, because something subtle has happened. You're no longer chasing clarity with the same urgency. You're no longer trying to fix the emotional rhythm between you. You've stepped back just enough to breathe, and in that space, truth has room to show itself. Don't skip this part, because distance, even emotional distance, has a way of sharpening vision. When you're no longer inside the emotional swirl, you can finally see the pattern without being pulled by it. Stay right here, because you begin to notice how often you were anticipating her mood. How frequently you were adjusting your energy to match hers. How much of your emotional life was quietly organized around her reactions. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now. That level of anticipation is not intimacy. It's vigilance. And vigilance exhausts you over time. Listen closely, because you're realizing how rarely your needs were centered in the dynamic. You listened. You waited. You adjusted. You reassured. But when you needed steadiness, it often came in fragments instead of consistency. Stay right here, because fragments can feel meaningful when you're emotionally invested. A message here. A moment there. Just enough to keep hope alive, but not enough to ground the connection. Don't skip this, because grounding is what your nervous system has been craving. Not excitement. Not intensity. Safety. Listen to this carefully, because safety in love doesn't mean predictability without passion. It means reliability without anxiety. It means knowing where you stand without having to ask. Stay right here, because you may notice how calm feels unfamiliar at first. When you stop overthinking, there's a strange quiet. And that quiet can feel empty before it feels peaceful. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now. Empty is not the same as wrong. Empty is just the space where something new can form. Listen closely, because you're also noticing how your self-talk has changed. You're no longer blaming yourself for the confusion. You're no longer asking what you did wrong. You're asking what this dynamic has been teaching you. Stay right here, because that question leads to growth instead of guilt. Don't skip this part, because the lesson isn't that you loved too much. It's that you stayed too long in uncertainty hoping love would eventually feel safe. Listen to this carefully, because loving deeply is not a mistake. But staying where clarity is withheld slowly teaches you to doubt yourself. Stay right here, because you're no longer doubting yourself. You're trusting the discomfort you ignored before. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now. Trusting discomfort doesn't make you pessimistic. It makes you aligned. Listen closely, because alignment feels like this: you don't rush. You don't chase. You don't perform. You simply show up as you are and let the other person meet you there or not. Stay right here, because that's what you're doing now. You're no longer overextending to keep the connection alive. Don't skip this, because when you stop overextending, one of two things happens. Either the other person steps forward to meet you, or the distance becomes undeniable. Listen to this carefully, because both outcomes give you clarity. Stay right here, because you may already feel which direction this is moving. Not intellectually. Somatically. In your body. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now. Your body knows when it's no longer willing to live in emotional suspense. Listen closely, because you might notice a quiet sadness surfacing. Not longing. Grief. Grief for the version of the connection you hoped it could become. Stay right here, because grieving potential is part of letting go. And letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means releasing expectation. Don't skip this part, because expectation was what kept you stuck. Expectation that things would eventually balance out. That clarity would come if you waited long enough. Listen to this carefully, because waiting is only healthy when both people are walking toward clarity. Waiting alone is stagnation. Stay right here, because you're no longer stagnant. You're moving forward internally, even if nothing has changed externally yet. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now. Internal movement is the most important kind. Listen closely, because you're starting to imagine a different kind of connection now. One where communication is natural. Where reassurance doesn't feel like a request. Where effort feels mutual. Stay right here, because that vision isn't fantasy. It's alignment. Don't skip this, because alignment doesn't feel chaotic. It feels calm, steady, and emotionally safe. Listen to this carefully, because you're also noticing how much energy you've reclaimed. You're more focused. More present. Less consumed by emotional uncertainty. Stay right here, because reclaimed energy changes how you show up everywhere in your life. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now. You're remembering who you were before you started shrinking your needs. Listen closely, because that version of you is still here. Stronger now. Clearer. Stay right here, because clarity has made you less reactive. You don't spiral when she pulls back. You don't overanalyze every interaction. You observe. Don't skip this part, because observation without attachment is power. Listen to this carefully, because power doesn't mean control over her behavior. It means control over your investment. Stay right here, because you're finally choosing where your emotional energy goes. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now. You may still care deeply. Care doesn't disappear overnight. But care no longer overrides self-respect. Listen closely, because self-respect is what keeps you from repeating this pattern with someone else. Stay right here, because patterns repeat until they're learned. Don't skip this, because you've learned now. You've learned that love without consistency creates anxiety. That chemistry without communication creates confusion. That depth without accountability creates pain. Listen to this carefully, because knowing this changes how you move forward forever. Stay right here, because you won't ignore early discomfort again. You won't dismiss your intuition. You won't confuse intensity with alignment. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now. You're becoming someone who chooses peace without apology. Listen closely, because peace is not boring. It's secure. Stay right here, because security allows love to grow instead of survive. Don't skip this part, because if she steps forward now with clarity, consistency, and accountability, you'll receive it calmly, not desperately. Listen to this carefully, because desperation is gone. You no longer fear losing the connection more than losing yourself. Stay right here, because that fear was the only thing holding you in place. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now. You're not being hardened by this process. You're being refined. Listen closely, because refinement keeps your heart open but protected. Stay right here, because whatever happens next, you will not abandon yourself again. Don't skip this final reflection. This phase is not about endings or beginnings. It's about self-alignment. You are choosing clarity over confusion. You are choosing steadiness over emotional chaos. You are choosing yourself without closing your heart. And from this place, whatever love comes next, whether it's with her or someone new, will meet a version of you that no longer accepts uncertainty as intimacy. That is growth. That is power. And that is why being careful now is actually an act of love, for yourself. Don't scroll, stay right here, because this is the phase where everything you've learned starts to settle into your bones. Not as theory. Not as emotion. But as instinct. This is where you stop reminding yourself to be careful and start naturally moving differently, without effort, without fear. Listen to this carefully, because you're no longer reacting to the connection. You're responding from within yourself. The difference is subtle, but it's everything. Reaction comes from anxiety. Response comes from clarity. Don't skip this part, because clarity has changed how you experience silence. Silence no longer feels threatening. It no longer triggers the old spiral of questions. It's just information now. And information doesn't hurt when you're grounded. Stay right here, because you're noticing how much emotional space you've reclaimed. Your thoughts are quieter. Your chest feels lighter. You're no longer mentally negotiating with yourself about what things might mean. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now. You're no longer waiting to be chosen in moments of inconsistency. You've already chosen yourself in moments of uncertainty. Listen closely, because that choice didn't happen overnight. It happened every time you didn't reach out impulsively. Every time you paused instead of chasing reassurance. Every time you honored discomfort instead of explaining it away. Stay right here, because those small moments added up. And now, something powerful has happened. Your nervous system trusts you again. Don't skip this, because when your nervous system feels safe, you stop confusing intensity with intimacy. You stop mistaking unpredictability for passion. You stop believing that love has to hurt to be real. Listen to this carefully, because you're also noticing how your standards feel natural now, not forced. You're not demanding more. You're simply no longer accepting less. Stay right here, because this doesn't make you closed off. It makes you selective. And selectivity is not fear. It's discernment. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now. You're no longer rehearsing conversations in your head. You're no longer preparing to explain your needs in the perfect way so they'll be understood. Listen closely, because you've realized something important. Someone who is aligned with you won't require perfect delivery to hear you. They'll want to understand, not defend. Stay right here, because that realization has freed you from overperforming emotionally. Don't skip this part, because you may notice moments of sadness surfacing unexpectedly. Not longing for her, but mourning the version of the connection you believed in. Listen to this carefully, because grief doesn't mean you made the wrong choice. It means you allowed yourself to feel honestly. Stay right here, because honest grief moves through you instead of trapping you. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now. You're not suppressing emotions anymore. You're allowing them to pass without letting them steer your decisions. Listen closely, because emotional regulation is not emotional numbness. It's emotional wisdom. Stay right here, because wisdom looks like this. You don't rush to conclusions, but you also don't linger in confusion. You observe, you feel, and you choose accordingly. Don't skip this, because you're no longer afraid of losing the connection. You're more aware of losing yourself if you ignore what you know now. Listen to this carefully, because fear once kept you attached. Awareness set you free. Stay right here, because you're also noticing how differently you show up in other areas of your life. More present. More confident. Less distracted by emotional uncertainty. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now. This wasn't just about her. It was about reclaiming your center. Listen closely, because when you're centered, relationships no longer define your worth. They complement it. Stay right here, because you're no longer measuring your value by how much effort someone else gives you. You're measuring it by how aligned you feel within yourself. Don't skip this part, because alignment feels calm. It doesn't rush. It doesn't plead. It doesn't perform. Listen to this carefully, because you're now able to sit with ambiguity without anxiety. And that means ambiguity no longer controls you. Stay right here, because control has shifted back to where it belongs. With you. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now. You may notice that if she reaches out now, your reaction is different. Not detached. Not cold. Just steady. Listen closely, because steadiness is the clearest sign of growth. Stay right here, because if she offers clarity, you'll receive it with open eyes. If she offers confusion, you won't argue with it. You'll recognize it. Don't skip this, because recognition is enough. You don't need to convince. You don't need to prove. You don't need to explain your boundaries repeatedly. Listen to this carefully, because boundaries are no longer something you announce. They're something you live. Stay right here, because living your boundaries teaches people how to treat you without words. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now. You're no longer available for emotional guessing games. Not because you're bitter, but because you're awake. Listen closely, because awakening often feels like calm detachment mixed with compassion. You can care without clinging. Stay right here, because clinging was never love. It was fear. Don't skip this part, because fear used to drive your choices. It doesn't anymore. Listen to this carefully, because you've learned that love should feel safe more often than it feels uncertain. That connection should feel mutual more often than it feels one-sided. Stay right here, because that knowledge will guide you for the rest of your life. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now. You're no longer romanticizing emotional struggle. You're prioritizing emotional health. Listen closely, because emotional health doesn't make love boring. It makes it sustainable. Stay right here, because sustainability is what you want now. Not intensity that burns fast, but connection that lasts. Don't skip this, because you're also becoming more honest with yourself about what you want next. Not what sounds exciting. What feels right. Listen to this carefully, because what feels right doesn't require you to abandon yourself. Stay right here, because you've already proven you can love deeply. Now you're learning to love wisely. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now. Wisdom doesn't close your heart. It protects it. Listen closely, because protected hearts don't harden. They heal. Stay right here, because healing doesn't erase the past. It integrates it. Don't skip this part, because you're no longer asking why this happened. You understand what it gave you. Listen to this carefully, because it gave you discernment. It gave you self-trust. It gave you peace. Stay right here, because peace is the clearest indicator that you're on the right path. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now. Whatever happens next, you won't repeat the same pattern unconsciously. Listen closely, because consciousness is now your default state. Stay right here, because you are no longer trying to make something work at the expense of yourself. Don't skip this final reflection. This phase isn't about endings. It's about embodiment. You are embodying clarity. You are embodying self-respect. You are embodying emotional maturity. And from this place, love will either meet you in truth or make space for something better. Either way, you are no longer lost inside someone else's inconsistency. You are home in yourself. Don't scroll, stay right here, because this is the phase where everything you learn stops feeling like effort and starts feeling like instinct. You're not reminding yourself anymore. You're not correcting your thoughts. You're simply moving differently, naturally, without forcing anything. This is where awareness becomes embodied. Listen to this carefully, because you're no longer checking in with yourself every few minutes to see how you feel about her. You already know. And that knowing is quiet. It doesn't argue. It doesn't panic. It just sits there, steady and calm. Don't skip this part, because calm used to feel unfamiliar to you in this connection. Calm felt like distance. Calm felt like something was missing. But now you're realizing calm was never the problem. Calm was what your nervous system was craving all along. Stay right here, because you're noticing how your reactions have changed. Messages don't control your mood the way they used to. Silence doesn't pull you into overthinking. You don't feel that urge to fill gaps with imagination anymore. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now. That urge was attachment, not love. And you didn't know the difference before because attachment can feel intense, consuming, and meaningful. Listen closely, because love doesn't hijack your peace. Love integrates into your life. Attachment demands your attention. Love respects your rhythm. Stay right here, because your rhythm has returned. You wake up focused on your own day, not on decoding emotional signals. You fall asleep without replaying conversations. That's not detachment. That's regulation. Don't skip this, because regulation is the foundation of healthy love. Without it, everything feels urgent and unstable. Listen to this carefully, because you're also noticing how much less you're explaining yourself. You don't feel the need to justify your needs or over-communicate your boundaries. You're letting your behavior speak. Stay right here, because behavior is clearer than words. When you stop chasing, stop overgiving, stop compensating, the dynamic reveals itself without debate. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now. You're not punishing her by pulling back. You're protecting yourself by staying aligned. Listen closely, because alignment feels like this: you don't feel rushed. You don't feel pressured. You don't feel like you're constantly adjusting your inner world to accommodate someone else's unpredictability. Stay right here, because unpredictability once felt exciting to you. It felt like chemistry. Now it feels exhausting. That shift is maturity. Don't skip this part, because maturity doesn't mean you stopped feeling deeply. It means you stopped confusing emotional stimulation with emotional safety. Listen to this carefully, because safety is what allows love to deepen without fear. And fear was present in this connection more often than you wanted to admit. Stay right here, because admitting that doesn't mean you failed. It means you learned. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now. You're also noticing that you're no longer waiting for her to become something different. You've released the version of her you were hoping for. Listen closely, because hope kept you invested longer than reality did. And releasing hope doesn't make you cynical. It makes you honest. Stay right here, because honesty feels like relief. You're no longer bargaining with the future in your mind. You're dealing with what is. Don't skip this, because dealing with what is puts your power back in your hands. Listen to this carefully, because power doesn't look like control or dominance. It looks like choice. You are choosing where your energy goes. Stay right here, because you're no longer giving emotional access automatically. You're noticing how someone shows up before you open further. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now. That doesn't make you guarded. It makes you discerning. Listen closely, because discernment allows love to grow safely instead of desperately. Stay right here, because you're also seeing how this process has changed you beyond this connection. You trust yourself more now. You don't gaslight your intuition. You don't ignore discomfort just to keep a bond alive. Don't skip this part, because that self-trust will protect you in every future relationship. Listen to this carefully, because you're no longer afraid of walking away from what doesn't align. Not because you don't care, but because you care about yourself enough to choose peace. Stay right here, because peace has become your baseline, not something you earn. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now. You may still feel moments of tenderness when you think of her. That doesn't mean you should go back. It means you're human. Listen closely, because tenderness without attachment is a sign of healing. Stay right here, because you're no longer confusing emotion with obligation. You can feel without acting. You can remember without returning. Don't skip this, because that's emotional freedom. Listen to this carefully, because emotional freedom doesn't come from closure conversations. It comes from internal resolution. Stay right here, because you've resolved something inside yourself already. You've decided you won't stay where clarity is withheld. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now. That decision didn't require an announcement. It required courage. Listen closely, because courage looks like choosing consistency over chemistry when the two are in conflict. Stay right here, because you're no longer impressed by words that aren't matched by behavior. You're watching patterns, not promises. Don't skip this part, because patterns don't lie. Listen to this carefully, because if she steps forward now with steadiness, accountability, and openness, you'll meet her with clarity, not desperation. Stay right here, because desperation left your body when you stopped fearing loss more than self-betrayal. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now. You're no longer afraid of being alone. You're afraid of being misaligned. Listen closely, because misalignment is what created the anxiety in the first place. Stay right here, because alignment feels calm, mutual, and honest. Don't skip this, because honesty doesn't feel dramatic. It feels simple. Listen to this carefully, because simple is not boring. Simple is sustainable. Stay right here, because sustainability is what you want now. Not highs and lows. Not emotional roller coasters. Stability with depth. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now. You're no longer measuring love by how intensely it hurts or excites you. You're measuring it by how safe it feels. Listen closely, because safety allows intimacy to grow naturally. Stay right here, because you're also learning that being careful doesn't mean closing your heart. It means opening it slowly, wisely, and with boundaries. Don't skip this part, because boundaries don't block love. They protect it. Listen to this carefully, because the right person will respect your boundaries without making you feel guilty. Stay right here, because guilt was the tool that kept you stuck before. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now. You no longer negotiate your worth for connection. Listen closely, because worth is not proven through endurance. Stay right here, because endurance is not a requirement for love. Don't skip this, because love should not feel like survival. Listen to this carefully, because you've stepped out of survival mode now. Stay right here, because you're grounded. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now. Grounded people don't chase. They attract what aligns. Listen closely, because whatever comes next in your life will meet a version of you that is clearer, steadier, and more self-respecting. Stay right here, because that version of you will not repeat old patterns unconsciously. Don't skip this final reflection. This stage is not about closure with her. It's about completion within you. You learn to listen to your body. You learn to trust your intuition. You learn to choose peace over uncertainty. And from this place, love will no longer feel confusing. It will feel safe. And that is the kind of soulmate connection you were always meant for.